Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and sorry if I'm a little more out of breath and sweaty than usual. I just got done doing my first training session of the morning before I go back and do my accessory work, and here's a video that I promised on the fan page I would do. I want to talk to you guys for a little bit about B12 deficiency and what's going on with it, because this is something that a lot of people always throw back at vegans. They say, aha, you guys have a vitamin that you have to take in some form, either fortified food or a supplement because of your diet. So that's a sign there's something wrong with your diet, because no plants anywhere in the world produce a bioavailable version of B12, and B12 is a vitamin. You have to have it or you will die, and humans can't make it. The ironic part is that animals can't make it. Animals are not capable of producing B12 themselves, nor are plants. And interestingly enough, a lot of the people who try to say, oh, you guys have a B12 deficiency, and I don't actually have a B12 deficiency in their diet also, because yes, currently, as far as if you want to buy foods that have not been fortified in any way, animal products are the only source of B12, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But ironically, a lot of the preferred animal protein sources of clean eaters, bodybuilders, fitness enthusiasts, people like that, are actually, they cannot provide enough B12 in your diet unless you're eating like 4 or 5 pounds of them every single day, 7 days a week, to hit the RDA, just the RDA on B12, if that was your only source. And I'm going to break down a few of these for you guys and show you what sources have it and what don't and what amounts. Now, if you go through and you look at the most popular choices of a lot of bodybuilders, for example, they're going to be chicken breast, egg whites, tuna. Those are 3 really preferred protein sources by them because they're just fairly lean protein, high quality protein. Well, 500 grams of chicken, which is just over a pound, which has about 120, 130 grams of protein, has 30% of the RDA on B12. And even if you triple that and you go up to 1.5 kilos, that is well over 3 pounds. 1.5 kilos still only has 90% of the RDA. If you're consuming 90% of the RDA on any vitamin or mineral, you are deficient. You're still 10% under. That's on 3.5 pounds of chicken breast every day. Every day. That is around 400 grams of protein from chicken breast. Egg whites, 1 kilogram of egg whites has 10%. So you would need to consume 10 kilograms of egg whites. 10 kilograms, that would probably be around 2 gallons of egg whites every day to get your B12, if that was your only source in your diet. And the problem is that with eggs in general, now whole eggs, actually the yolk has all the B12 in an egg, but when you cook it, you make the B12 unbioavailable for humans. You have absorption problems with it, so it's not a viable source cooked. You have to drink raw egg yolks to get it from eggs. So you got to go get egg yolks and drink the raw yolk. If you cook it, you ruin it as your B12 source. Tuna, which the amount you would need to get anywhere near the B12 you need would cause mercury poisoning, because 500 grams of tuna, which is just over a pound, has 45%. So you would have to go, well, or you have to eat around 2.5 pounds of tuna every day to get the B12. So here's a problem. Now, the animal sources that are high in B12 is obviously egg yolks, but if you cook it, it doesn't work. You've only got 3 good sources that you could easily hit it on. That would be beef. In fact, lean sirloin has around 95% of the RDA with 500 grams. So that's just over a pound. So if you ate 1.5 pounds of sirloin steak every day, you would get your B12. Whole milk tends to be really, really high. If you would need around 4 or 5 cups, that's not that many. But again, a lot of people are lactose intolerant, a lot of saturated fat, and a lot of people who are trying to stay leaner aren't going to consume that much dairy, because for a lot of people it bloats them also. And if people want to look good, which a lot of my audience seems to be obsessed with, it's going to cause bloating for you. So that's also a potential issue. But milk would be one of the most viable sources. And then salmon. In fact, salmon comes out the winner. You would just need 1 little salmon fillet every day to hit your B12. So salmon is your clear winner as far as B12 sources, with whole milk and then beef behind it. So those are your top three sources. Nothing else is suitable. You would have to consume way more than most of you are willing to consume of any other source to get it. So historically, how did this happen? How did we get in this situation to where people all over the world have historically lived on vegetarian diets in many cultures? Without access to these things, you don't develop B12 deficiencies. And in hunter-gatherer societies, they didn't get this much meat historically year-round, particularly the growing children. They didn't get this sort of animal product intake every day. So how in the world were people getting their B12? Well, the reality is B12 is found everywhere. It's just not found in our food, and that's because bacteria, certain types of bacteria grow B12, and they grow massive amounts of it. If you were to go out into your garden and scoop up a handful of dirt and eat it, just the unsterilized dirt, you would hit your B12. If you were to go out into the country, say in rural Texas somewhere where they still have well water that's not public water, not being pumped in and put all these treatments in it, and you're getting well water that's just filtered by the dirt, one glass, a cup like the size of this coffee cup, of just that water would give you your B12 because it's found all through the bacteria in the soil and it grows in well water. So historically, humans have gotten it from their water, and then even in agriculture, because people live right next to their animals and the animals poop out B12 because your colon bacteria in most mammals creates B12. It's just some creates a lot more than others, like cattle produce a lot more. The bacteria in their intestines produces the B12, and so it's in their fecal matter, and cows absorb enough of it, but say chickens don't. So they have a much lower B12 content than other animals, but they don't need as much either as a species. But the animal poop gets all over the ground, and the people didn't sterilize all their vegetables and their roots and their carrots and their potatoes out of the ground on farms and stuff for many years, and so people tended to get it from eating things like that because it wasn't really, they didn't wash it with soap, they just rinsed it off, and the bacteria from all these animals around it that had gotten into the ground and everything else, and they oftentimes use it for fertilizer for hundreds if not thousands of years, got B12 all over the food from the animal poop. But today, because we actually care about germs, and I'd say it's a good trade-off because, we're also not getting E. coli on our carrots, and we're not getting parasites in our water because we sterilize our water now, we're much better off as a people, but accordingly we have to add B12 to our foods. We have to get B12 from somewhere because we're not getting it from all the bacteria historically like we have. And some humans do get enough without needing it in their diet. They're a minority though. There are humans who produce enough of the bacteria in everything from their mouth to their lower intestine to where they absorb enough B12 without needing it. So actually not everyone needs it. Some people have enough of the bacteria to produce it, and that's just a genetic trait. And I don't know what the statistics are on that around the world. And then there are some people who really have absorption problems for the same issue, and they have to megadose way more than the RDI. But your doctor can usually identify that and tell you if you're one of those people, because you'll start showing signs and problems of B12 deficiency. Now, because the governments, the FDA, and a lot of the food manufacturers are aware of this, you'd be surprised how many foods have B12. I don't take a B12 supplement because I eat a lot of the healthier cereals, and believe it or not, like Kellogg's is one of the companies that puts B12 in everything. Even their sugary junk food cereals, they put B12 in it. But I like their All brand, which easily, one little bowl of that gives me the RDA on B12. My soy milks have it added in. A lot of breads have B12 added in. Tons and tons of food manufacturers know that there's a B12 deficiency because of our lifestyle today, and they add it to foods. So that's what you need to look for, is look at what's been added to the foods and make sure you get enough B12 that way if you don't want to bother with a supplement like I don't want to. Because B12 is very inexpensive to grow because we just make big vats of that same bacteria that grow in nature, and it costs pennies. Like to get the RDA of B12 the way we mass produce it now in those big bacteria vats, it literally costs you about 1 penny. It costs them 1 penny to put it into the food. So it doesn't substantially add to the cost. So it is put in a lot of foods because the FDA and the agriculture associations and things and the government organizations that deal with this have recognized the real risk of B12 deficiency because we're so clean today with our food and water that we don't have it in there anymore. And so accordingly, they make sure that it's added to enough foods that as long as you just carefully select those foods, then you're going to get it. Because most people around the world, for example, eat breakfast cereals in Western countries. So they add it to breakfast cereals. they add it to various milks and milk substitutes to make sure that you're getting your B12 for breakfast. But for people who eat completely unrefined whole foods and don't eat things like breakfast cereals or any sort of milk or soy milks or anything, you very well may be deficient even though you're eating a diet very, very high in animal protein. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Oh, Mount Bicepius.